Hello, I'm having difficulty sharing with you this amazing thing that I found sort of hung over this beautiful tree root that is above my favorite waterfall that I see every day. There it is. And what you can't see is that horizontal tree root is about a foot below the ground, and maybe, depending, 8 inches or so away from the cliff. And if you can see it, I'm sure you can see the chrysanthemums and other flowers. Looks like there might be some roses. There are definitely some carnations in there. But if you see this repeating white going down, this actually, part of it goes all the way down to the pool. And this is really touching my soul today because it's right here at this waterfall, which is itself between my two Faerie Trees. There's a lot of magic right here, and I come here every day to sort of resource myself and fill my soul. There are often leaves floating on the surface of the water. Now it's autumn, of course, rather deepish autumn. It's strange. We're having a kind of Indian summer sort of situation. The cherry trees, many of the cherry trees are currently in bloom. And here in Atlanta, it's sort of traditional that as soon as November 1st hits, people start putting out their Christmas decorations. Not people, but neighborhoods. And so we've got cherry trees next door to wreaths and red bows and stuff. But this, to me, is just so emblematic. I mean, I love the Dia de los Muertos altars with, pictures of ancestors and food offerings and papel picado and all of that. But this is just like rocking my world. And the fact that it is, these flowers they're way past their prime. Their petals are falling off and kind of strewn over. There's some petals that are kind of strewn on the earth above where this garland clearly is hanging. I don't know if whoever put it here intended to hang it over the tree root that kind of acts like a kind of a bridge, but even if they didn't, it's just perfect, and it is reminding us of the season of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's, also I want to say that the peak of Samhain energy, that peak Halloween energy, doesn't happen really until day after tomorrow, until Wednesday the 6th. And we're also simultaneously at this moment where Pluto and Mars, yesterday, which was the 3rd of November, Pluto and Mars were facing off between the 29th or the nth degree of Capricorn for Pluto and Cancer for Mars. Like, these are the very final moments of this. So these are two intense planets, right? Pluto and Mars are two intense planets, and they're squaring off. They're not even squaring off, they're facing off. And Pluto is about to permanently move out of Capricorn, where it has been since January of 2008, almost entirely. without break, although we have had some little toe-dipping experiences into Aquarius in the last year. So think about, I mean, we are wrapping up and putting some kind of maybe rotten flower bow on the Lord of the Underworld, where the dead go, right at the Day of the Dead, and this moment where the veils are thin, and when we sort of celebrate the harvesting that we've done since this point last year, and Halloween or Samhain is known as the pagan New Year, because this is where things begin for those who honor the earth and the wheel of the year. This is really a time when the old kind of breaks down and decomposes and feeds the new, so that new life, new seeds, even perennials can be nourished and fulfilled, so that their new energy can come to the surface starting in February, March, April, depending on where you are in the planet. So this is a really deeply magical time of, like, okay, let's dig in our roots. Let's go deep. Let's look at what we value. Let's pause for a bit of rest right now. Let's really honor everything that has come before, not just our ancestors, although our ancestors would love that, but also the old forms of us. Like, who was I at the end of 2007? And who is this person that I've become since 2008? Let's also look at the institutions in the world. 2008 was the year where banks all started to go sideways. George W. Bush decided that the banks were too big to fail, so he gave money that the U.S. government didn't really have to shore up these institutions. And then we elected Barack Obama as a nation. And it was an amazing moment. Now, on the 19th, that period is ending, and Pluto won't reach its same spot on the planet until 248, in the sky, the same spot in the sky for 248 years. So, yeah, right now is a really interesting moment. The next time Pluto, I did the calculation, although the ephemeris I was looking at weren't really going that far out, but it seems likely that it will be the mid-2250s before, and here we are at 2024, it'll be the mid-2250s before Pluto is next in Capricorn. So the world has a lot of room to change between now and then. The U.S. members of the Continental Congress signed the Declaration of Independence when Pluto was at this very same spot in the zodiac, this 29th degree of Capricorn. And so this is a really big moment in U.S. history. It's a kind of a fulcrum moment or a pivot point or whatever you want to call it, but it's a big deal. And so I'm loving that this garland of flowers, which are now rotting, were placed here in this really sacred spot that I visit every day, although not over the weekend. So it had happened since Friday morning, because this is my first time back since Friday morning. And I'm loving that it's reminding us that the things we celebrate, yes, let's celebrate them, let's honor them, and let's release them so that they can feed the next cycle. We're at the end of a cycle and the beginning of the cycle. Every birth implies a death, and every death implies a rebirth. And the death and the rebirth are virtually simultaneous. And so it's a time to honor the old and welcome the new simultaneously. So let's celebrate where we've been as a country, as an individual since 2008, and where we might be going as of November 19th, 20th. Here in the US, tomorrow is election day. I've been very implicated in the get out the vote and, calling people. Yesterday I spent 2 hours on a busy street corner near my house with about 45 other people, waving signs and encouraging passing cars to honk. Honk for democracy, honk for Harris Wells, honk for the U.S. Constitution, honk in support of what is a really unique moment in history where America might, in fact, elect an African American and Asian Pacific woman to the White House. So, wouldn't it be interesting if the Pluto in Capricorn moment was sort of bookended by Obama coming in and then Kamala Harris coming in? That's the vision that I'm holding. I've been talking to a lot of people about, people say that empires sort of crumble 248 or so years after they are founded. And I don't think that American democracy is going to lose. I think that especially if we have people like Vladimir Putin coming in to screw with our electoral results, as he did in 2016 and tried to do in 2020, that the American people are just going to rise up en masse and say, you know what? No, not right now. We're not going there. That's my thought. That's my fervent hope. That's the vision that I'm holding, and I'm holding it really hard with lots of fervent energy and like deeply rooted, really Plutonian power. I'm Capricorn rising, so Pluto has been Pluto tore me down and has rebuilt me. At the beginning of 2008, when Pluto first came into Capricorn, my rising point is 2 Capricorn, so it was right away. I was still chair of my department. I was a professor. I had tenure. I was a well-known scholar, and I was even still the number 3 elected member of my international professional organization. So I was very much in that place. And shortly thereafter, I let go of my international organization position, like within the course of that year. Also, within the course of that year, I discovered Akashic Records, I discovered crystals, I really leaned in, and by the very first day of 2010, I quit my tenured position. I was done with a thing that I had been training for since I was in utero, and I'm not speaking facetiously. Like this was what I had been up to for decades and decades, like 40 years. And so I have really felt the changes that Pluto has wrought, and I don't know if you have felt them too. If you would like to know where Pluto is in your birth chart, you can probably look that up on your own. I'd be happy to look it up for you. If you want to join me for a short session where I get information from your Akashic Records about where Pluto has been and where it's going vis-a-vis your own birth chart, let's set up an appointment. I'm not doing that for free, of course, because it's, work for me. But if this is of interest to you, let's do it. I am also gathering a small group of powerful women who are locking arms to help march America into the Pluto in Aquarius era. And Pluto will be in Aquarius for 20 years. This is a big section of our lives. Pluto will be in Aquarius for longer than it has been in Capricorn. I mean, I could die tomorrow, and any one of us could, but, and I hope to make it to the Pluto in the Pisces era, but maybe I won't. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for listening. I really thought this was a beautiful thing to share. And by the way, I had to come back here and look. I thought it was just a flower arrangement that had been set here. And it was after I had taken a number of photos and even some videos that I noticed that it was this garland that stretches all the way down into the water. I hope the magic of this place has touched you. I hope the magic of this garland set here in all its glory. It's rotting glory. And when I say rotting glory, I really mean that. Like, it is a celebration of what is gone. And I'm watching this leaf that just fluttered down and landed in the waterfall and was swept down by the water. I hope that was visible on camera. We are in a moment of change, and it's up to each of us to hold the vision of the change that we want to see in the world, and not just hold the vision, but take action. If you have been anxious, and I know, because I'm really plugged into the international community, I know the stress that a lot of people outside the U.S. are having about the results of this U.S. election. Because how the U.S. economy goes really has an impact on the world economy. So if you are outside the country, I've been speaking specifically to Americans about this election, but, voting eligible Americans, but it is, I know, something that will have an impact on probably 95% of humans alive on the planet today. So if you would like to join me and lock arms and really take action, hold the vision, do whatever you want to do. I've been working ritual. I've also been, making hundreds of phone calls to potential voters to make sure they have a plan to vote, and offer them information about when and where they can vote. I've also, been attending these rallies, which is amazing and fun. I live in the Atlanta area, so there's a lot going on here because it's a swing state, and there is a large African American population, and I have been having a great time. There was such energy of celebration yesterday at the sign waving rally, and there were a number of cars who drove by and gave us a thumbs down or flipped us off or whatever. But I really only saw, in 2 hours, I really only saw about maybe 24 of those. And there were literally thousands of people who rolled down their windows and honked their horns and waved and cheered and shouted along with us. We were having a party, and it was amazing. We had a truck with a big speakers, and there were just so many people out cheering, and a lot of people. At first I was a little worried when they got out their cameras to make videos, and I thought, oh, I wonder if that's something to be worried about. So I would maybe hold my sign up a little higher. But my sign said honk for democracy, by the way. And but then what I realized was that these were people who were honking and cheering with us. They were so excited to see this party going on, because there has been so much anxiety recently about how our state might go and how the country might go. And it was such a pleasure to be out having this dance party on a major street corner where two state roots met, and just so much joy. We had American flags and pride flags and Harris Walls flags and veterans flags and all sorts of signs. Everyone was having a great time, and that is the kind of energy I want to leave you with today. And again, if you are someone who has supported Donald Trump, I want you to know that I have compassion for you, because you've clearly been misled. He's neither a good businessman nor a making America great in any way. I think when Kamala Harris is in the Oval Office, she is definitely not going to be taking any kind of retribution, which is, of course, what Trump has promised. So if you haven't decided and you might be leaning Trump, I invite you to think about what that will mean for your daughters, for your granddaughters, for your neighbors, for your grocery prices. You know, if he deports 10 million farm laborers, guess what? We won't have produce that costs anything but 10 or 20 times what it costs today. So he's definitely not going to be good for the economy. All the Nobel laureate economists are saying, by the way, Trump's plans will crash the economy and cause a global recession. So, yeah. The Georgia governor has said, well, you know, it's a business decision, but it's a really bad business decision. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with a few more seconds of this beautiful, beautiful waterfall image and sound. Just allow it to flow any anxiety away. You might stand up if you're outside. You might go out without rubber-soled shoes on, stand on the earth and just allow, I'm going to play this video again, allow the sound to wash you clean of any anxiety that you might be holding. And then when that's done, pull up through the soles of your feet and your legs and your hips and into the core of your body. Everything that you need right now to feel safe and whole and grounded and peaceful. Because no matter what, we're going to wake up on November 6th, which, by the way, is when the Samhain energies are at their peak. That date of transformation, right? The midpoint between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. And we're also going to wake up on the 7th. And the 8th and the 9th, and we might not know who has won the American election by then. I suspect that it'll take some time. But let's just stand shoulder to shoulder together, holding the vision of the future rather than the vision of some past that was made up and didn't ever exist in the first place. So, anyway, I'm sending you and through you to everyone around you a beam of radiant heart love. Let's all have our radiant winged hearts out as we move through this election window. Because there's never a wrong time to have a radiant heart, right? Sending you all so much love. Sending healing and grounding and optimism and joy and celebration to everyone. Thank you. I'm Elizabeth Lacey.